the Game Boy is sort of immediately recognizable, and I think that also sort of attracts people's attention and keeps people's attention.
Look what people are doing with their toys, you know? They're making these sounds. Look how complex it is and how varied the styles are.
It's a real visceral thing too, I think, with these old computers because it's just raw.
You know, that sound is just also meaningful to my generation, I think, you know, like this low-bit sound.
The whole thing was that chiptunes could be fun and it could be for everyone.
There are more people getting involved in chip music now than ever.
They're not just gamers, they're artists, they're musicians.
This is not like some static thing being generated by like some person without a heart.
You've taken this piece of, you know, of your past with you, but you've made it something new.
It's, you know, it's just the next generation of people looking at the tools they have around them growing up and taking apart their toys.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Definitely, that's one of the misconceptions about chip music that you really have to work to overcome and educate people about, is that we're not standing up there playing video games. So this is the LSDJ cartridge. You can boot up the cartridge in your Game Boy and you get access to LSDJ, which basically turns your Game Boy into a synthesizer and sequencer. And then you can do all sorts of cool things with it. So yeah, it really doesn't have to do with video games at all. It has to do with using video game hardware in order to create music. I grew up, obviously, playing a lot of video games like most people in our age group. Those sorts of experiences early on sort of influenced the direction I took with music and what I was interested in doing with music. I guess it was around 2000 or 2001 I sort of started writing my own music, and then basically I've been doing that ever since. This is hardware that we grew up, you know, playing games on. It's something that we loved and we wanted to take even further than it was originally intended. I think that, you know, the tank is definitely a huge part of why we've been able to establish, you know, a strong scene in New York. And I think they've sort of been like, you know, what CBGB's was to punk and new wave, I think the tank is to the chip music scene.
So I started the Tank with a group of friends in I think, late 2001, early 2002. And we started up as a very small, very sort of seat of your pants kind of scrappy non-profit art space. Actually, the very first night that we ever had any show at the Tank, our big opening night party, I had put out just a random open call on Craigslist for electronic musicians to come play the show. And one of the people that responded was this guy called BitShifter.
So for the last several years, I've been making music using a Nintendo Game Boy. I think I had a show booked, thought it would be cool to do. I didn't have any idea what I was going to do, so I emailed Jeremiah, sort of out of the blue. We didn't know each other at all at that point, and just asked him for advice, like, hey, what do you do when you play live? Like, how do you translate this into a live performance? His advice was basically, just like change parameters in the Game Boy, like tempo and wave your fist around, and that's pretty much what I've been doing ever since.
And he just rocked the Tank, and I'd never heard anything like it. Even with all the experimental music that I was familiar with, this was really somebody who was taking something very nerdy and code-oriented and and making something really fun and really energetic out of it. Our relationship with the chiptune scene has been really awesome over the years, despite billing BitShifter that first night as Bitch Shitter because of a misunderstanding, a communication problem. He forgave us for that. So yeah, so every time somebody was coming in from out of town or something, he would ask if there was some availability at the Tank, and it just became this thing where a lot of chiptune people became familiar with going to the Tank to see shows.